Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'm going to be playing another traditional draft of Dominaria United. Without further ado, let's just slam dunk the mythic uncommon of the set. The Defender's archetype, if you have a Wingmantle Chaplain at the helm, is pretty hard to beat. You're getting a 1/1 bird for each defender that you have when you play the Chaplain, and getting an additional bird every time you play another defender. It just takes over the game really easily, gives you a large amount of trump blockers, as well as plenty of birds to just finish the game off. So Wingmantle Chaplain, strongest uncommon in the entire set, one of the top 5 best cards in the entire set, including rares and mythics. That's going to have to be the pack one, pick one. So we don't see any defenders pass to us in pick 2 here, but we have several pretty solid options. If we want to go for the main theme that white decks have, we could take the Argivian Cavalier here, because the white decks have a lot of ways to benefit from going wide. So we would just start the game with, we'll start the draft with 2 white cards, both of which produce at least 1 token. So that could be a pretty solid way to go. However, if we want to just take the strongest card in the pack, it's one of these blue cards, probably the Frostfist Strider, a 5-mana 4/4 with Ward 2 that locks down a creature for a turn, or Tolarian Geyser. And the really interesting thing about Tolarian Geyser here is not only can this slow our opponent down, but if the game's going really long and we need to get some more creatures to find a win condition, we can actually bounce our own Wingmantle Chaplain to recast it. So I'm actually going to take Tolarian Geyser for that little extra added synergy there, on top of it already just being a very good card, and blue being a color we're likely to try to go in the Defender's archetype. So we get past another Argivian Cavalier here, which is really nice in white. There's also a Heirloom Battle Hymn for pretty efficient removal in red. However, for the Defender's archetype, white, blue, black tends to be the best place to be. So if we're taking a removal spell out of this pack, we're probably taking Tribute to Urborg instead of the Heirloom Battle Hymn. There's also a Floriferous Vine Wall, which is a defender, but that would push us into the more 5-color domain kind of Defender's archetype. A little bit more difficult to build. I think I'd rather try to be like the Esper Control Defenders deck and take this Tribute to Urborg here. But yeah, top 3 picks for me: Cavalier, Urborg, and Vine Wall. Battle Hymn is good as well. I just don't think that the color pair of white, blue, red is going to lend itself as well as 5-color or Esper. So here we are now, pick 4. If we go 5-color, there's a Miria's Outrider here. A very nice domain payoff, does a ton of damage to your opponent just when it hits the board. Other than that, not the most exciting pack ever. There's like a Gaia's Might, which is a good combat trick, but that's not what our deck is looking for. There's a Mana Worker, which is fine little mana filtering. Crystal Grotto as well, fine to just have like one of. Not a huge fan of Najal, definitely not a reason to hop into red at this point. This rare is pretty bad, just turning everything into a 2/2, but theoretically if we have multiple Argivian Cavaliers and Wingmantle Chaplain, I guess we could get in a board state where we have a higher creature count than our opponents and try to win off that, but it's pretty narrow and bad in a lot of board states. Not a big fan of this pack. I think I'm just going to take a Miria's Outrider, a bit speculative there. But if we do end up the 5-color build of this deck, it'll be fine. So there's a Heroic Charge if we were the go-wide deck, but we're not really. We've got 1 Wingmantle Chaplain. This would probably be the pick had we taken both Argivian Cavaliers and just been close to mono-white by now. But I think instead I'm going to take one of these dual lands, and it looks like the blue-red dual land is going to be the best one for us right now. We already have a blue and a red card. We only have 1 black card, no green right now, so we'll take Tributary, I think. Timely Interference is a fine little cantrip, little way to get an instant or sorcery in your grave and draw a card. Doesn't seem super necessary in this deck. I guess it does fuel the Tribute to Urborg. But other than that, just some solid creatures, mostly off color. Let's just take this land. Okay, pick 6. There's an Inscribed Tablet, which can be pretty helpful at getting your mana set up. If you don't have any Floriferous Vine Walls, this is basically the same card, but if you don't hit the land on the top 5, you at least get to draw a card off this, which is nice. You can also play a Phalanx. We get more white go-wide synergies. Could take our Grotto, could take a Sojourner, now that we're looking pretty multicolored. 1 card in every color except green right now. Go for the Domain Control deck with Defenders at the helm. Could also take a blue-white duel, but it doesn't have land types, which is pretty rough. I think I'm still going to take that blue-white duel there. Blue and white are the main colors that we have right now. Zaro Janin is a fine card as well. We saw one last pack, but it's a bit slow, and I don't think it's what our deck wants to do. That being said, it's between that and a Stall for Time, so I might just take Stall or Zaro Janin anyway. Although Stall for Time we can play even if we're just in blue-white. So if we don't end up going the full super multicolored thing, if we're just the blue-white core, Stall for Time can still be good. Guess I'll go for Stall for Time here. Great dual lands. Definitely going to take one of these. All of these non-land cards are pretty filler outside of the heroic charge. I think we want Sacred Peaks here. We want the one with white in it over the red-green. Okay, there's an Academy wall. Come on in, join the defending party. Clockwork Drawbridge is an excellent wheel. And I didn't even notice this the first time around. Maybe this should have been much higher on my list of picks. Because I realized this is pick 10, so this was after we had the Wingmantle Chaplain. I didn't even notice this thing existed. But it is very good in the Defender archetype. It can lock down aggressive creatures from your opponent. And of course, it is that important creature type of Defender to work with the Chaplain. Mana Worker is fine here, or Cleaving Skyrider. You can cast Skyriders on the defensive, and we are in white and red right now. So I guess I'll take the Skyrider. Don't love the Amplifier, definitely don't love the phasing of Zalfir, but I don't think Vanguard's going to be great here. I'm just going to slam a phasing into the sideboard. Highly, highly, highly doubt that will make the cut. Warbrute probably doesn't either. Inscribed Tablet absolutely could. And pack 2, pick 1, we're just going to open up a second copy of Wingmantle Chaplain, which is pretty dang lucky. The biggest payoffs that we could get now throughout the rest of this draft are the Shield Wall Sentinels, which are 4-mana 1/3 defenders that tutor your library for any other defender. Put it into your hand. And yeah, that's the main thing we're hoping for, and that card is common, so I think we're in a pretty great position here. Let's see what we get. Pack 2, pick 2 now. We have some solid removal spells. The Citizen's Arrest, the 1-for-1 removal, or the Temporary Lockdown, which is pretty great out of the sideboard. The main problem with these removal spells is that they do die to enchantment removal. So Broken Wings or Destroy Evil. Destroy Evil, the bigger bummer, because that is in pretty much every white deck you're going to play against. Could also take a Territorial Morrow. We want to try to get there with that, but double Wingmantle Chaplain, I think we can just try to use those as win conditions. Take Up the Shield's a great combat trick, but I don't think combat tricks are nearly as good in a defender's kind of archetype. I think I'm just going to take Citizen's Arrest. It's more consistent than the rare removal. Another Tribute to Urborg looks very nice to me. Also some solid lands. Sunlit Marsh would be our best one here. But I'm going to take another Tribute to Urborg, make sure that removal count stays nice and high. We see no defenders in this pack, but we do see another Sunlit Marsh, which seems pretty good. Turricanrid is very slow, but potentially impactful. Not a huge fan of it because of how slow it is. We could take a Shore Up that could protect our Wingmantle Chaplains. Although one of the reasons to be in black in the Defender's archetype is to use cards like Sheoldred's Restoration and Urborg Repossession to bring the Wingmantles back from the grave to be able to recast them again later. So I don't actually think I want Shore Up. I think I want to probably try to pick up Urborg Repossessions, ideally out of the black, and maybe some Restorations. Those are less good, but they tend to wheel more often, so we may be left with them. Soaring Drake, Artillery Blast, and the Haunted Mire would all be fine here. Gonna sort out all of these non-creature spells now. We definitely need more defenders. Somebody else got a Wingmantle Chaplain, unfortunately, which is kind of wild because all the defenders are disappearing here. That means 3 Wingmantle Chaplains were opened already, at least, which is kind of nuts. I think I'm just gonna take Haunted Mire here. Well, there's a Blight Pile. Much worse defender than the Wingmantle Chaplains. But we are already in black trying to get Tribute to Urborgs in this deck, so and it does up our defender count. Not as good of a win condition, but certainly a card that is going to make the cut for our deck. Okay, another Clockwork Drawbridge. This one's actually just perfect. That's just a great defender for our deck. White is our main color, and this is a nice way to lock down big threats from our opponents. A very cheap defender to play as well. Super, super good one. Shadow Prophecy is a great card draw spell when you've got access to all 5 colors of lands for domain like we do, but not gonna take it over the drawbridge for defender. Again, Shieldred's Restoration there is an option to bring back Wingmantles from grave, but not the greatest option ever. Now we have a Gibbering Barricade. Maybe we just haven't been opening up a lot of defenders. I'm definitely going to slam dunk that over a Stall for Time and not much else. Captain's Call is basically the only on-color card here, unless we want to splash in a Worm or a Badger or something. Just take a Captain's Call. We did wheel the Temporary Lockdown, so we have that coming out of the sideboard, or we have the Sacred Peaks. Make the Miria's Outrider even easier to splash in, easier to cast. I like a Lockdown in the sideboard, that seems pretty great against aggro. Bunch of nothing. Just in case we need more random dorks. I don't think we will, though. Another Cleaving Skyrider, I guess. Come on in. Kind of a 6-drop. Trying to kill a small attacking creature that our opponent is sending in. Alright, we have 7 defenders now. Everything about this deck is looking pretty great outside of the lack of Shield Wall Sentinels. That is a pretty big bummer. Again, that card is a common. So we should theoretically be seeing a lot of them. Because we're splashing every color in the universe, we get to just take this King Darien here. It has a pretty big bomb, a very good mana sink, a 3-mana 2/3 that gives all of your other creatures +1/+1, and for 5 mana makes Darien even bigger and spits out a 1/1. Very strong card, very much worth the splash. One of the things that could be happening here, theoretically, if somebody didn't open up... Oh wow, this is a hard choice. Walking Bulwark versus Bortuck Bone Rattle. Both absolutely incredible cards. I think I'm actually going to take Bone Rattle over the Bulwark because Bone Rattle can bring back Wingmantle Chaplain as another synergy for the Defender's archetype, and Bone Rattle is just straight up an incredibly good card at all times. So I'm going to take it over Bulwark, and it's slightly likely the Bulwark wheels. With how this draft is going, I don't think it will. But again, one of the things that could be a problem that we're having here, it's possible somebody didn't even open a Wingmantle Chaplain, but people are still taking Shield Wall Sentinels pretty highly, because there are definitely players that will just look at 17 lands data and just read exactly right off the bat 17 lands data and just draft off of that without putting anything else into consideration. And if you're a drafter like that, Shield Wall Sentinel is the highest win rate common in the set. The problem with drafting that way is that the only reason that the Shield... Actually, now that I have a Vortex, I'm going to take this Haunted Mire. The only reason Shield Wall Sentinel is the highest win rate common in the set is because the vast majority of games where Shield Wall Sentinel is cast is a game where it's tutoring up something like a Wingmantle Chaplain and also casting that. So the win rate of that card is highly skewed. You can't just like draft a bunch of Shield Wall Sentinels and just put them in any random deck. But if you're just drafting based on the highest win rate card in each pack, you're going to end up with a bunch of Shield Wall Sentinels with absolutely nothing to do in your deck. So that is a possibility, and that is something to keep in mind when you're drafting. Now that I am black-green, I'm going to take this Urborg Repossession to bring back Wingmantles over the Gibbering Barricade. Rather have my first copy of that. But yeah, that's a possibility. That could be something that's happening here. Or somebody just genuinely opened a Wingmantle Chaplain and is just taking the Shield Walls for their deck. Or, pretty unlikely, but possible, we've just opened 0 Shield Wall Sentinels in all of these packs. But yeah, the lack of those is a pretty big bummer. Sulphur Springs would be fine here. Eerie Soul Tender would be fine, another way to bring things back. Shore Up would be okay. I'll take the Soul Guess an Artillery Blast or a Voda Sea Scavenger. Both pretty fine. We're actually mainly white-black now, splashing everything else. Phalanx might actually be fine too. Yeah, I got a lot of mid-range creatures. Decent amount of removal. I'll take a Phalanx. No defenders. We have the black-red duel or the Love Song of Night and Day. 28 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lands. That's 22 non-lands. Need another playable non-land card still, but I'm still going to take Bog over Love Song. I'm going to believe that we can find one here. Okay, we can definitely use Shadow Prophecy. That should be pretty huge card draw in this deck, or a Relic of Legends would help splash some things, and these would both be great. I think I'm going to go Shadow Prophecy. I really like that. Kind of dig through time sort of card draw. Dig very far in your deck. Plop out the best card. We did not wheel the Defender. Somebody else is drafting the Defender's deck. Take out the Shield, Mana Worker, Magnagoth are all fine. I guess we'll go Magnagoth. Oh, we did wheel the Bulwark. Okay. That was not the pack that I thought it was. Alright, well, we wheeled the Walking Bulwark. That's pretty exceptional. And the fact that we wheeled a Barricade and a Bulwark pretty much solves the question of why we're not getting Shield Wall Sentinels, and wheeling both walls out of that pack, especially when one of them is Bulwark, pretty much guarantees the reason that we're not getting Shield Wall Sentinels is that they just aren't being opened in these booster packs. Because if somebody was drafting a bunch of Shield Walls for a Defender archetype, they would have taken a Bulwark. The only other explanation is that somebody was taking them pretty aggressively pack 1 in case they opened a Wingmantle Chaplain later, and then fell off of the speculation on the Defender's archetype to where now they're passing cards like Bulwark. But that wouldn't really account for no Shield Wall Sentinels pack 2, because I think they would probably just fall off after not opening a Chaplain pack 2. So maybe there were some Shield Walls pack 1, but definitely none pack 2, pack 3. We just got a little bit unlucky there on that front, because that is a huge factor of what makes this deck operate so well, is being able to always tutor these Wingmantle Chaplains. So I'm actually very disappointed by the lack of Shield Wall Sentinels, especially when we can wheel Walking Bulwarks. That's kind of nuts. So we get to cut 3 cards out of this deck. What cards do we want to cut? We have 16 creatures and 10 non-creatures. Pretty good counts there. Skyrider doesn't seem exceptional in here. Everything else has its own role that it's filling quite well, giving us an actually sturdy blocker is what the Magnagoth Sentry and Phalanx are doing, and then Outrider with all this domain is great. Bone Rattle is great with Enter the Battlefield effects. We bring back an Outrider, shoot again, bring back a Chaplain, get a bunch of defenders again. Geyser, also great, slows down our opponent or lets us recast something. Tablet for the mana fixing, great with King Darien and Bone Rattle and Outrider, all these off-color cards we're trying to hit. Repossession, another card that's great with these cards we want to recast late game. Captain's Call, I guess, makes a little less sense because we've got plenty of good blockers with just a high amount of defenders and some other token production. Love Tribute to Urborg as removal, love the Shadow Prophecy as card draw, and that also digs through our deck trying to find those Wingmantle Chaplains. Love the Geyser, the Arrest, and the Stall for Times. I think I'm going to start with Captain's Call and Double Cleaving Skyrider out of the deck. We'll start with this as the build. We just need to edit the mana real quick. But since this is traditional draft, we can edit the deck around, change things out based on what we're up against. So if we're against a really aggressive deck, or like a token producing deck, Temporary Lockdown, it's going to be a really great addition out of the sideboard. If we're against a deck that makes like 0 creatures, we could try out the Phasing of Zhalfir thing. If we're against a deck that's just like one of these domain decks that plays a single very big threat, Phasing of Zhalfir could be kind of fun to try out. I don't think it would actually be any good, but I could play it anyway. But that's about it. That's about it for the sideboard. A Temporary Lockdown, Phasing of Zhalfir. If we just need a ton of blockers, we get Captain's Call and maybe Juniper or Root Weaver to just up the creature count. Definitely some sideboard options, which is cool. Let's see how the mana is looking in the deck. We have 9 white cards, 8 black cards, and then 2, 1, and 3. So white and black, we want those to be tied at about 8 sources, ideally, and then everything else, we want just a couple. So we want to get as close to 8 sources of our main colors as we can. 4, 5, 6, 7. I would say close enough. Black, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 of each main source. That's probably solid. We only have 1 double white card and no cards that require 2 black sources. So that could actually work out for us. 8 sources of a color in a 40 card deck means 1 out of every 5 cards on average is going to be a source of that color. That's really where I like to be. I like to be at above like 1 out of 7, because 1 out of 7 means somewhat consistently you'll have one in your opening hand, but there's definitely a chance of not having one. If you go to 1 out of 5, you're upping those odds quite a bit of always having a source of that color in your opening hand. 1 out of 4 is where you get to where you can pretty consistently have 2 sources of that color a couple turns into the game. So if you have a lot of double mana cards of one color, so you're like heavy into white and you have like triple Citizen's Arrest, and you've got like the Knight that wants you to dump a bunch of white mana into it, that's where you're trying to hit like 10 white sources, because 10 out of 40 is 1 out of every 4. So once you're 8 cards deep, which is your 7 card opener and your first draw step on average, then you'll have your second white source. But yeah, here I think 7/7's actually probably fine. How do our off colors look? Again, there's 3 green cards. There's 2 blue cards, but 2 stall for time, so kind of like 3 blue cards as well, because it's 2 and then 2 half blue cards. Actually, Tribute to Urborgs as well, 4 half blue cards. Yeah, blue seems pretty comparable in necessity to green, maybe even a little bit more necessary. And then red is literally just Miria's Outrider, I think. So we're not going to put a mountain in here. We've already got 3 red sources, so that's just solve. Tributary Peaks, Geothermal Bog, there you go. Those are the Miria's Outrider sources. For blue, we currently have 3 as well. I kind of want to up that. But that would require lowering my number of plains or swamps, or I could lower forest here. When we look at green sources, we've got 4 right now. So currently we have 3 blue, 4 green. I guess that works out. We don't have to kick Tribute to Urborg or stall for time every time. So we don't like need blue mana, except for Academy Wall and Tolarian Geyser. Those are both cards we can wait until a little bit later in the game for. Wartuck, Bone Rattle, Magnagoth Sentry, and King Darien being the green cards. King Darien, like to have double green by the time we have 10 lands out, which I mean 10 lands out is a lot of mana, so it's already kind of likely to happen. And then Bortuck, Bone Rattle, Magnagoth Sentry. I always want to be able to Sentry on 4 and Bortuck on 6. I think this is fine. We could swap these around to 4 blue, 3 green, but I like lowering the chances of just having a King Darien in hand that we can't cast. That sounds like a just major bummer if that ever happens. I don't know, do we have any mana fixing spells? I don't think we have any spells that actually mana fix us. And we technically only have 2 islands, so upping another blue source would up the number of islands for domain, and it would make it more likely we hit the full 5 domain. Because currently, if we're just thinking on a domain level, we have 6 plains, 7 swamps, 4 forests, and 2 islands. So on a purely just strictly domain level, this would make our domain more even and make it more likely to hit all 5, because then we'd have 3 islands, 3 forests instead of 4 forests, 2 islands. Because that's the problem with these rare lands, like Adarkar Waste, it's just not helping domain. It's not buffing our Bortuck or Miria's Outriders. or Shadow Prophecies at all. It is still worth having in the deck, but that is a bit of a bummer. Yeah, we'll go up to 4 blue sources, 3 green sources. Again, our green cards are big late game bombs outside of the Magnagoth Sentry that we want on turn 4. We don't have to play Darien turn 3. Our blue cards, one of them is straight up just interaction, Tolarian Geyser, and 2 of them are like, if we kick them, they're like bonus levels of interaction, like making Tribute actually kill something, making Stall for Time keep things locked down. It's more important to have your mana for interaction in the early game than it is to have your mana for bombs. So I think we'll do the mana like that. Let's make it all beautiful. Alright, here we are with a final look at the deck that we've drafted today for this traditional draft. It is going to be a Defender's Domain archetype. We drafted 2 Wingmantle Chaplains and kind of clung on to those for dear life. So we have quite a few other defenders: Academy Wall, a Gibbering Barricade, a Blight Pile, a Bulwark, which is an alternate win condition with our defenders to start slapping our opponent, and a couple Clockwork Drawbridges. Unfortunately, we did not see a single copy of Shield Wall Sentinel throughout the draft. I am still pretty sad about that. That is the 4-mana 1/3 that tutors for any defender from your deck when it enters the battlefield. Didn't see a single copy of that, yet we were still able to wheel a Walking Bulwark pack 3, so I think it was just awkward card distribution in the packs rather than getting cut off of the defender's archetype. So we had to fill our deck with something else because we couldn't get all of the perfect defenders in the world, so we went for a 5-color domainy sort of strategy. We have Bortuk Bone Rattle being a really nice value play and a really nice finisher all in one. This card is particularly good because we have some very good enter the battlefield effects to be able to redo after, like chump blocking with a Chaplain, being able to just bring it back to the battlefield, get a bunch of birds again, is pretty phenomenal. We've also got a Myria's Outrider and Myria's Outrider. Bortuk Bone Rattle is a combo that I've always been a huge fan of in this format. Dropping the Outrider, pinging your opponent for 5, letting it trade off in combat, and then doing it all again. Bringing it back with Bone Rattle is often enough to finish the game. We've also got some other random dorks like Magnagoth Sentry and Argivian Phalanx to help block, and then a King Darien for a big bomb. Since we're already kind of splashing in every color, might as well take the big multicolored bomb if we open it in pack 3, which we did. Other than that, we've got more ways to abuse Wingmantle Chaplain's ability. We have an Eerie Soul Tender to return that Chaplain from our graveyard to our hand, an Urborg Repossession to return those Chaplains from our graveyard to our hand. So those are pretty good ways. We can also return it from board to hand with Tolarian Geyser if we don't need to use this to slow down our opponent. I still think the vast majority of this time we will slow down our opponent with this card, but it's nice to have that option to bounce our own creature. And then we've got the Shadow Prophecy to help try to dig for those Wingmantle Chaplains, or the King Darians, just dig for our win conditions. And then a little bit of decent removal, 2 Tribute to Urborg and 1 Citizen's Arrest. Probably the biggest fear in our deck is only having the 3 straight up removal spells, and then just Tolarian Geyser and a couple Stall for Times outside of that for interactions. So we'll see how it all works out for us. Hopefully we don't play against a million super scary threats, and we can just hold our removal and block things with our defenders in the early game. So we don't need too many removal spells in the deck. But we'll see. We'll see what we get paired up against and see how it all plays out as we head into the gameplay. Here we are, round 1, game 1. We are on the play with the Wingmantle Chaplain in hand and blue, white, and black mana. The correct mana to cast every spell in our hand, and we have 2 removal spells for the early game as well. Big fan of this opening hand. Start off with a Clockwork Drawbridge and pass the turn. The really nice thing about the Wingmantle Chaplain, it's going to give you a flyer for each defender on your board when it comes out, or each defender you play after it comes out. So you really don't have to play very specifically with it. You just get to dump your defenders out early if you want to, or hold them in hand for later if you want to. Either way is going to work out for you. We're against the defenders deck here. They're going to start with a Blight Pile. I think we'll drop an Eerie Soul Tender since that's enough power to attack into that thing. Mill 3. land Darien Island, so we can bring Darien back with Soul Tender's exile ability if it ends up in the graveyard. So whenever we finally get a green source, we can do that. So that's actually a really good mill for us. Usually you'd be sad to see that you've milled a Darien, but if we didn't mill 3 here, I was about to draw land, an uncastable Darien, and another land that doesn't help cast it. So it's actually nice to get Darien out of the way. So Darien's in the grave for us to just bring back whenever we can actually afford to cast it. So I could just slam down a Chaplain here. Seems fine to me. They only have 2 mana up. Yep, and I've got an Urborg Repossession and an Eerie Soul Tender to try to use. I should probably attack with Soul Tender first, see if I can kill their Blight pile, or just deal a few damage. Would be quite happy to trade with the Blight pile. Soul Tender is a card that we like to see in our graveyard. Oftentimes the way that Soul Tender plays is you just drop it out and then you hold it as a blocker, because a lot of decks are going to have 1/1s and 2/1s and stuff you don't really want to trade into on attacks. So you like just holding it off on blocks, but our opponent just has a 3/3 and an 0/3. Soul Tender is actually a pretty sweet attacker. Ooh, they did not hit a land drop, which means the number one fear that I had here was them just going land Chaplain. So I was a little sad about not playing around that with Citizen's Arrest that turn, but now I can just Citizen's Arrest the Blight pile. Because I know I can kill the Chaplain itself with a Tribute later. It's probably safer to arrest the Chaplain. Actually, wait, no. Our opponent is in white, so if they play a Chaplain and I Citizen's Arrest it, they can easily just have like a Destroy Evil, which will destroy my enchantment and bring the Chaplain back to the board, and that would be absolutely devastating. Maybe to the point where it's worth siding the Citizen's Arrest out in this matchup. But yeah, I think for now, I'm actually going to Citizen's Arrest the Blight pile. And then I could Repossession Darien right now just to up the instant sorcery count in grave for the Tribute to Urborg. So if they do slam down a Chaplain, I will have the -3/-3 ready next turn. And we don't know when we're going to draw the green source, so it might be a little greedy to just hold on to it. But I'm also playing around a card I don't even know if they have in hand. I don't know, they get 2 birds here. This is a big bummer. I think I'm just going to pop it here. And then pass turn. There's the 4th mana. Here's the Wingmantle Chaplain. No Shield Wall Sentinel for Wingmantle. Must be nice to actually see Shield Wall Sentinels in the draft pod. Yes, I am still salty about that. So, Wingmantle coming down with 3 defenders here. Very big issue. I can Tribute to Urborg in response to its ability. I'm happy with how I've played here, because now I can actually kill the Chaplain the moment it hits the board. The problem is they're on black, so they can probably bring it back from grave. This is going to be a pretty impossible matchup here. We just need to draw a lot better than them. They're actually going to take the trade here. They've got to have Graveyard Recursion coming up. But yeah, this is pretty devastating, because in white they get to really easily just have Destroy Evil in their deck to destroy our Citizen's Arrest if we try to use that to kill Chaplain. And in black they're just going to have all the ways to bring it back from grave, so we're kind of like damned if we do, damned if we don't. Whichever way we kill this thing, we're going to have huge problems. But I guess we can find out more specifically what those problems are going to be throughout this game. So we know for sure Graveyard Recursion. Oh, this is frustrating. We were just playing against the mirror match, except our opponent actually found the Shield Wall Sentinels in their draft pod. So the mirror match, but opponent paid off more than us. I think our deck is weaker than our opponent's. It's the same thing plus Shield Wall Sentinels. just what you need. Alright, Warhorse coming down with the 1/1 alongside it. Nothing to do on the ground. I could stall for time here just to draw a card. Might as well. Need to find something here. Tribute to Urborg number 2 is interesting. Not monumentally helpful. Because they are likely to have more graveyard recursion after this. So I'm unhappy with the fact that I've spent the Citizen's Arrest playing around Destroy Evil and have not seen a Destroy Evil. Oh my god, they have the Argosy as well. Argosy is absolutely disgusting in the Defender deck because the Argosy allows you to crew, which you get to tap any number of creatures you control with total power 1 or more. So you can tap a 1/1 bird and all of your 0 power defenders to crew the Argosy to attack with it, and then you bring all of the defenders back in the end step with the Chaplain, which means the Chaplain sees the defenders all come back and makes a 1/1 bird for each defender that just entered the battlefield, and when the Chaplain enters the battlefield, the Chaplain also sees, oh, I have 3 defenders, so it makes 3 birds. So if you have 3 defenders and you Argosy, you make 6 birds. Argosy is another huge payoff here. We might even just tribute the drawbridge. But I guess if I don't tribute the Chaplain, they're just going to keep flickering it with Argosy now. Yeah, don't love that. I guess I'm keeping the tribute in hand for now. This is just the Defender's deck with just all of it. They just have it all. Even to the point where they get to have it all in 2 colors, not even 3. The bane of the format, but I guess this is justice for what I drafted here. This is karmic justice. Charismatic Vanguard, okay, that's pretty fine. Argosy to hit me for 3, that's about it. I will happily put a Chaplain in my grave. That's it. Oh wait, we blocked the 1/1. I took an extra damage for fun. It's to send a message. Ooh, Phalanx. Okay, Phalanx is actually kind of sweet. Guess I have to just cast that. That 1 extra damage for fun is pretty bad. Vanguard is going to kill us now because it buffs the board +1/+1. So it makes all of these 3/3s 4/4s so they can kill the Phalanx. Makes their bird a 2/2 so my bird can't trade into it. We're pretty dead. Just had to spend all of our resources dealing with Chaplains. Griffin Protector, Love Song of Night and Day. No Vanguard mana this turn means they don't get to attack. We get an Academy Wall. Can play an Academy Wall and stall for time still, but I really want to Soul Tender back the Chaplain. I don't think I can really do that and live looking at this board state. I'm in a really rough spot here. I think I go Wall Stall. But I don't think it matters a lot. So I think every line leads to death. It's through the course of this game. Counter on each flyer. If I stall for time, they get to crew Argosy with the creatures I'm tapping. Pretty brutal. We're definitely going to draw a card, discard a card here. Go to the Magnagoth Sentry. Or Swamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th land. I could Soul Tender and have 2 mana up. Doesn't really do anything, but the Sentry certainly doesn't. If we get to 8 mana when we get to our green source, we can Darien and make a dork. Ooh, Outrider's a good draw. I guess I'd need double green to make Darien and a dork. But I could like Darien and Soul Tender in the same turn on 8 mana. They're actually tapped out of the buff here. They would rather tap down my Phalanx than buff the board. I guess that makes sense because now they don't lose any attackers. They don't even have to trade. We're about 3/4 the way through the deck and we have not found the green still. Pretty massive bummer. I only have 3 basic land types as well because the Waste is not an island. We're hitting them down to 6. If I attack with this, I'm hitting them down to 5. Which is interesting. But then they crack back with all these. I can only block 1. I take 4, go to 2. Block. 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 With Drawbridge, I just die if I don't hold up all my blockers, so I think I have to just attack with a Vigilance creature only. This is closer than I thought it would be. We actually put up a really good fight with how explosive their deck is. Oh yeah, they could just tap down the... oh wait, no, I have the Reach creature as well. Doesn't straight up kill me yet. If they miscount here and attack all, I might be able to win. 6 attackers? No, they have the Vanguard mana up. 6 attackers against 4 blockers. I let 2 things in. Which means I let the 2 flyers in, which hits for exact lethal. With Vanguard. Ooh, they missed lethal. Okay. I was gonna say it's exact lethal there if they attack all. Right, because I go block, 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 and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to Vanguard's ability. So I got another turn, and Blight Pile means if I get another turn after this, Blight Pile starts threatening to just end things. And I have the mana to Blight Pile and bring back the Wingmantle Chaplain. Wingmantle, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I had 1 more mana, I could bring back and cast Wingmantle here. But instead I have to just Blight Pile. If I can get my Outrider to die in combat here, that might be the win. Tap Blight Pile, recast Outrider is the game plan. If I cannot die and get Outrider dead. Get the Outrider kill dead. If I can't immediately win next turn, Wingmantle Chaplain's still going to be enough blockers to hopefully help survive here. Oh god, a lot of flyers though. A lot of flyers though. And they're probably tapping down Outrider with the drawbridge. They're not. Okay. I think I survive this turn. If I can keep every wall and survive this turn, I can win. Oh, I can't. I can't because the Vanguard. They found the Vanguard lethal this time. I had to drawbridge a creature down this turn. But if I drawbridge a creature down, I wouldn't be soul tendering. Or I have to lose a defender. Is there a way to do this without losing a defender still? Don't think so. And buff that up to 2/2. I cannot lose the Blight Pile, but I think I have to lose the drawbridge. Which leaves me one defender from lethal. If I can shoot them, if I can just hit them for 1 damage in combat, I guess I get there, but I can't. So we might be on pick up Wingmantle Chaplain as the play. Well... yes, that happens. Okay. What do I do here? I need to think. So you're gonna get an apparition back. If I pick up Wingmantle Chaplain and cast it, I have 3 blockers on the ground and 3 in the sky. Block, block, block. It's all gonna be chumps though. But then maybe 2 turns of Blight Pile can find the win. If I pick up Outrider, 1, 2, wait, 1, 2, 3. It's still just 3. If I pick up Outrider and top deck a forest, I have 3 in here out of these 15 cards I can kill, or an island. Forest or island is just lethal. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forests and islands in the deck. 1/3 chance of just straight victory if I just pick up Miria's Outrider. I feel like that's probably better than Wingmantle, right? Because Wingmantle is like 3 blockers, 3 flying blockers. The blocks on the ground are all going to end up being chumps, and they have a drawbridge, and I'm at 3 life. I think I'm pretty likely to just die on Wingmantle. Alright, Forest or Island, off the top, let's go. Oh my god. Oh my god. Never didn't have it. Oh. Oh, that would have been a way less stressful game if I just got an extra damage in there somewhere earlier in. I am sure there were better lines without or through in that game, but we still got there in the very end. Oh my god. What an ending. They had 0 destroy evils, so I actually think I do want temporary lockdown in here. It gets our own drawbridges, but I can just play it when it's advantageous to us. On their birds and their soldiers and their drawbridge. I guess we only saw drawbridge and tokens. Oh, we saw their own Blight Pile. I'll try it. Maybe we cut some tributes because they had that graveyard recursion. They only had one Urborg reposition that we saw though, so actually it's probably still worth running. But I think I do want the lockdown. Stall for time doesn't seem particularly good in this matchup. They were fine when we had them, but that seems like maybe the cut. All right. I'm going to cut a stall for time for a temporary lockdown and get in there for game 2. All right, game 2, we got a bulwark and a lockdown to exile our own bulwark. Let's go. That's a snap keep. I need another white source here, and I'd also like to draw more colors. I did draw the white source, which is great, but I'd like to draw more colors for this Shadow Prophecy, so it's not just 3 mana draw 2, but even that'll be fine here. So we'll see what we get. Ooh, Inscribed Tablet is spicy, but I think I'd rather just slap my opponent for 3. Get some damage in here. Alright, 3 colors for Shadow Prophecy. Do another setup turn or just keep hitting them? I'd like to keep hitting them while I still can, because we know how cluttered the board gets to be later in the game in this matchup. So I'm going to get every point of damage that I can for now to help the Miria's Outriders and Blight Piles be more quick, more efficient ways to end the game later in the game. I just kill them with a single Bulwark here. 4 mana, Griffin Protector, okay. I'm going to try to kill them with a single Bulwark here, that's what I'm going to do. I can arrest that, but I can't attack with Bulwark the same turn I do. If I attack with Bulwark, I can't Prophecy either, though. But I can Tablet. And let's just keep a Bulwark and a Dream. This Bulwarks has hit them for 9. Let's go. Let's get a tap land here. Green or red source, ideally. Green source, perfect, I'll take it. Yep. Sad to put Bortuk on bottom, but it happens. Now Shadow Prophecy digs 4 cards deep. Phyrexian Warhorse. Well, so much for Bulwark getting in. That will end that. And Protector will hit us pretty hard. We've got another Haunted Mire. So I can 3 mana to Shadow Prophecy, or I can 3 mana to Citizen's Arrest. I could still attack with Bulwark here. I think that's better than trying to block with Bulwark. Right, because if I attack with Bulwark, it actually trades with Warhorse, but if I just block with it, it's just going to die. Or I'm blocking a 1/1. Alright, we're killing a 1/1. So we're stopping just as much damage as we would have holding it on blocks. Because holding it on blocks, I would have just stopped the 1/1 from hitting me, and now I've stopped the 1/1 from hitting me for the rest of the game. So that worked pretty well. And getting damage in there actually wouldn't be that great, but I feel like I can put the fear in my opponent because they know about our Miri's Outriders, our Blight Pile, all that stuff that just randomly finds lethal late game. With how they lost last game, I think I can get them to make blocks like that. Try to keep at a medium life total here. Tattered Apparition. We're down to 13. Clockwork Drawbridge. That is a draw. I can Drawbridge and Shadow Prophecy. I kind of want to just main phase this Shadow Prophecy. Something like that. And then I'll still have blue, black, green, or white for whatever I draw. Soul Tender, Clockwork Drawbridge, I guess? I could take a red source, though. And just let the Soul Tender go to grave. I feel like I want the Soul Tender on this board, though. And drawbridge is fine. Sorry, red sources. Sorry, Miria's Outrider. You're going to be difficult to cast this game. I can tell you that. For sure. Put a Soul Tender on this board state and pass. Barricade, Stall for Time, Blight Pile. Unfortunate. Temporary lockdown looking pretty bad this game. May not have been the best sideboard choice. It would have been a Stall for Time if I left it in. That would genuinely just be better in this position. Golden Argosy with not much to do. There's an Urborg repossession that I can kick. That is huge. That is massive if they can't kill this Blight Pile. They have a 3/6 blocker now thanks to Warhorse, so I can't attack in with either of these, but I can keep them from attacking in against me at least. I'll have 4 mana afterwards. It's 2 for Pile, not enough for Barricade anyway. I could pick up a red source instead of the Barricade, but it's probably better to play more defenders. So we play the Blight Pile and the Drawbridge and a tap land for the turn. And we try to Drawbridge down the Apparition for the rest of the game. The Argosy's gonna hit us though, a 3/6. We need double Drawbridge to tap both down. I guess our 2/4 Barricade can stop Argosy. We mantle Chaplain. Pretty big deal with Argosy down. That might just seal it here. Chaplain Argosy. Just gonna end us. I could double block Argosy, but then I lose my Blight Pile. I might have to though. And then I Soul Tender back the Blight Pile later. I think I have to. Oh, Soul Tender's not even dead. Oh yeah, that's rough. I can lock down, but I lose my Drawbridge. We just hope to draw into one of our 2 Chaplains. Barricade's gonna let me sack the Soul Tender to get back the Blight Pile at least. Which is kind of cool. Bulwark gives haste. Wait a second. 8 life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 2 blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Feel like I still need to just Drawbridge down Apparition for this turn, but Bulwark is interesting as a win con. They have 1 attacker on the ground now. Send in the Soul Tender. I get damage out of it or I get rid of a flyer. Nice, put them to 8. Yeah, if they attack too hard and forget about Bulwark here, we could just dump all of our mana into Bulwark and just attack with a million defenders later. Alright, that's the thing. They have to sack a creature now to kill the barricade, but they can. They might want to sack this chaplain because they have a repossession in hand or something. If that's the case, we're kind of dead, because... yeah, if I don't block, they can just sack multiple creatures and kill me. If I do block, they're just going to sack chaplain. No matter what, they're going to sack chaplain and bring it back to their hand. And even if I didn't attack with Soul Tender, I'd be attacking with or blocking with a Soul Tender that can't kill this Warhorse. But I guess then I'd be getting more damage in with the defenders this turn, but I got more damage in with the Soul Tender last turn. Same amount of damage over the course of 2 turns. I would have hit for 3 last turn instead of this next turn. Yep, that means they've got the recursion for Wingmantle, and we are pretty out of it. Oh, a Shield Wall Sentinel. Blight Pile. God dang it. I was going to say that we've got lethal on board. If they pull out another Chaplain. Oh my god, okay. Chaplain is the savior. Chaplain just wins the game. 4 1/1 flyers now. Attack with Soul Tender first, I think. Still. 4 1/1s with a barricade down. No, we're just gonna deal 3, alright. Put them to 5. Wingmantle Chaplain. I can barricade or drawbridge, but I can't do both. I have 4 1/1 flyers. I think I drawbridge. God dang it, they do have the repossession for Chaplain. Brutal. This game is no longer over. No longer over whatsoever. The Blight Pile for them is very good. Apparition can be a 4/4 flyer. I think we have to tap it down again, but I'd love to sack the Soul Tender to gain a life and draw a card. Can I get in a position where Lockdown is good for me? Kill all the birds. Actually, we might be on Lockdown plan? It'll get rid of Blight Pile. Gets rid of my own Bulwark and Drawbridge, but I could gain some life off those. I might be punting the game away here to this temporary lockdown, but we'll see. I think I want to try to do some temporary lockdown stuff. Okay. These 2 are going to die anyway. I think I sack them. Tributary, Phalanx. Now Bulwark is gonna die, so we get the value out of that. Get a forest. Now we lock down and then we phalanx. That feels not awful. That feels really not bad. That might have been the right line. I don't know. There's so many lines in this format at all times. There's so much stuff you can do. Alright, now if they ever attack, we just block with Chaplain and bring it back to hand. There's a Cavalier, that's fine. We kill our Phalanx when we attack. Oh, we can just sack Chaplain to the barricade. But even easier if I don't have to. Okay. Just gonna re-up the Chaplain. Although Blight Pile might be better. No, there's no flyers on the board. There's no flyers on the board. It's gotta be Chaplain. That free Phalanx attack, they probably just block with Chaplain in case they get some graveyard recursion of their own. Sure do. Send in the Warhorse. I trade into their whole... I kill everything but Warhorse if I block with Phalanx and they want to keep Warhorse out, or I trade in the Warhorse and a 1/1 if they only sack one thing. Could draw more defenders here. They kill me if I don't block. I want to keep hitting them. I want Phalanx, I want these birds, but if I draw more defenders, I'll want the Chaplain down. This is rough. I think I just block with Chaplain again, though. Oh, hello. That's a draw. Chaplain number 2. Welcome. Thank you for your support in these trying times. And pass the turn. Resolute Reinforcements. That's pretty big with Warhorse, but I think we've got it now. Yep, they're gonna scoop them up. Very big stuff from the lockdown in the end. I don't know if it was necessary. I think we could have found other pretty good lines without using the lockdown there, and it may have been the wrong choice to sideboard that in because it was pretty bad throughout the start of that game for the majority of that game. But luckily for us, a really tough matchup there against a white-black tokens deck with the Defender's sub-theme. The Chaplain Argosy, pretty devastating. They got that 2 games as well. But we still got the 2-0. Took a long time though, very grindy matchup, and I had to think through my plays a lot. So if we made it to game 3, I might have just timed out. That would have been pretty rough. But luckily for us, Wingmantle Chaplain's just the nuts, and top decking a couple of those few turns in a row, definitely going to close the game out. Really happy with that first game as well. The ending there was incredible. Again, I'm not confident, but I'm pretty sure we would have lost if I just bring back Chaplain. So being able to be like, well, at least we've got the 33% shot at victory if we bring back the Outrider, and then getting that 33% chance, that was incredible. So wild round 1. I think my opponent's deck was very good, very well drafted from them, and quite well played as well. But we're just the luckier Defenders player there, so good stuff there. We'll see if we can keep it up as we head into match 2. Okay, here we go, round 2. We've got the Chaplain on 4, the Academy Wall on 3, so we'll get 2 birds. Well, Swamp, I don't know why you want to go over there, but I guess you can go over there. Playing against a red deck, this could be a problem. Playing against Boros could definitely be a problem. Unfortunately, that Steel Crusher can just blow up our drawbridge, which is pretty sad. Pretty dang sad. I might want to even just not cast drawbridge until Chaplain's down because of that, but probably have to just conserve my life total. Now that we kill the Steel Crusher, or we just block it every turn, because they can sacrifice it to destroy an artifact. My drawbridge is an artifact. Drawn pretty excellent mana here. We have every color except for red. Fires of Victory. Alright, that works too. Now they don't have to sacrifice the Steel Crusher. Land for turn. Let's play the Academy Wall and then pass. So there's a Cavalier, 2/2 and a 1/1 with Enlist. We're just gonna drop Chaplain. Do need another white source soon. The stall for time looking pretty good. That's gonna be a kicked stall for time in a couple turns. So both of their 2/2s have Enlists. They can attack as 4/2s right now. Still not quite enough to get through our Academy Wall. So that's the big blocker. Now they will be. Now they'll attack as 6/2s, where I'll probably just double block with 2 birds. Because we can block the Phalanx with the 0/5 all day long, but we cannot. That's strange. That's threatening some kind of trick to do 1 damage to this wall. I'm just going to double block with the birds, because that's what I'm going to end up doing anyway when they make it a 6/2. Let's see what this is. Alright, nothing. Just kill the Enlister there. Ooh, Citizen's Arrest. And if they don't have Destroy Evil, then this should be able to keep them off of us forever. But I guess Stall for Time keeps them off and draws us a card, helps get into more threats. We'll Stall for Time first and hold the Citizen's Arrest for now. If they had Destroy Evil, they might just kill our Academy Wall. Destroy a creature with 4 more toughness. Definitely draw and discard. Sacred Peaks I want to keep because it's my first red source, so we'll get rid of the Haunted Mire. Okay, those are locked down. Urborg Repossession is great. Definitely chumping with the Wingmantle Chaplain, our first opportunity now. There's our Magnagoth Sentry, so we've got our own threats at this point. It looks a little flooded for our opponent. Clockwork Drawbridge, still got that Repossession. And another Drawbridge Engrave, so as soon as 1 creature dies, we can go ahead and repossess. And now that it's going to untap, let's get rid of the Phalanx. So no attack this turn against us. Whenever they play another threat, we just keep locking it down with Drawbridge, keep ending the game with our Sentry and our Bird. Burler Cyclops. That can kill our Bird with just a 1/1. That's kind of rough. Ooh, Walking Bulwark. Good lord. I'm very interested in that. I think I wait till post-combat. I'll trade Sentry into the Cyclops if they want. They do not want. I guess I could have played Bulwark pre-combat and just slammed in with a 5/5 Academy Wall as well. That would not have been terrible. Another Argivian Cavalier. That's very good with the Hurler Cyclops. Stacking up into a lot of damage to any target. We're at 18, so we're not worried, but they can shoot a bunch of birds with these soldiers. Stack them up into killing the bulwark if they want. Send in the Cavalier. Enlist a soldier, and this is not going to work out very well for my opponent after I Urborg repossession. When you attack into the defender's deck and they slam, just immediately block with Chaplain, that's when you start shaking your boots a little bit. You're like, uh-oh, not again. But that kinda is just how the deck works. My apologies, opponent. I'm not going to draw discard when I have Blight Pile in hand. I guess I probably should, but I'm not going to. One unfortunate part about this is I'm tapped out, but I also have 6 1/1 flyers now, so it's probably fine. Furious Bellow with the 1/1, +3/+0 first strike. Shoot some birds. Okay, no, they're just gonna chump and shoot one of the birds. Makes sense. Good play. Alright, and they are gonna scoop them up. The defenders takes game 1. The defenders take game 1. We didn't see a single Destroy Evil again, which feels really nice. I have gotten blown out by those with the Citizen's Arrest on board so many times. Like, too many times to count. It has put me way lower on Citizen's Arrest. Because of how devastating that is when it happens. I guess it doesn't happen that often. So, our Exile thing, we've seen 1 2-drop and some soldiers. So I'm gonna actually not put in the lockdown this time. I think I'm just going to run it back here. This has got to be a mulligan. This has got to be a keep. Blight Pile into Chaplain with a Bone Rattle to bring it back later. If we have the green source by then, and we have a Tribute to Urborg for early game. This is looking pretty sweet. Oh wait, no, we don't have all these things because I mulliganed. Yeah, we know our opponent's on Boros aggro, so having a tribute is important. Having an early blocker, having 2 defenders for the Chaplain. We don't want to get Riverland because we really need to hit 4. That is sad. Didn't completely think that hand through, only because I forgot that we mulliganed. So that's brutal. Having to drop the Bortuck is incredibly sad. But we get a Miria's Outrider as a consolation prize, not a bad one. And if we don't draw a green source anytime soon, then it's definitely a good thing we put Bortuck on bottom, as sad as it is. Okay, well, we didn't see what our opponent's combat tricks are yet. Do we want to just find out here? Not particularly when I can hold up my own Tribute to Urborg and make the block next turn. So that if they don't have a trick, I still just trade. Well, that's really bad, because now they can enlist Berserker as the attacker. I can still tribute to make that not great for them, but not if they do that and have a trick. This could be bad. I mean, if they enlist here, I might just take it all. So I'm just going to 15, and then I'm playing a Chaplain next turn, which gives me plenty of blockers. If I make Picker die here, does it get no extra power for the turn? I kind of want to see. Just for science, I don't even think this is the right play. No, I'm not going to do it. It's not the right play. I think it would make it so it doesn't get the power, because Picker would then be a 0 power creature enlisting on a Berserker. Flowstone Kavu, that is spooky. Urborg Repossession, that is beautiful. Don't have the green source, but still. Still a good one. What does our opponent have here? Set in with the Kavu. Set in with the enlisted Berserker. Let's see their trick here. It is a take up the shield. Well, now we know. Pretty good there. Still in a fine... Still in a great position. That's a draw. Could you imagine if I get the Urborg Repossession for 2 Wingmantle Chaplains? Probably won't happen. It's a Cavalier. And pass the turn, alright. Still no green source. Not in love with that. Start doming my opponent for 4 a turn with this Blight Pile, and I still hold up Tribute to Urborg. Or I just drop a Miria's Outrider. Let's hold up Tribute and Blight Pile shenanigans. And be ready to chump with a Wingmantle Chaplain the first opportunity. Actually, should probably be attacking with the birds too. But I'm at 12 life, so just holding up 5 1/1s feels nice and defensive. I don't have to kill my opponent that quickly with this board state. I can play the defense with Blight Pile. Yeah, they're just passing turn too. Addarkar Wastes is a great draw. Now I get to tap a thing down and still hold up Blight Pile. I think I still play it slow here. Infinite chumps. They're on a 5-turn clock. Yeah, and I was gonna say, if they kill a chaplain here and then I just repossess, recast, then that's probably just game. This can be a heroic charge now. +2/+1 trampled everybody. We need to worry about that. I think I'll play around that if I can. Kind of want to tribute this Cavalier right now. And that would reveal the heroic charge if they cast it immediately. I don't have to deal with that Cavalier. If I don't tribute though, I can use Blight Pile again. And I can still have tribute for after the heroic charge if I need it. Yeah, whatever, we'll let this happen. So we want to go 2 there, 1 there, 1 there, but then if they heroic charge, that'll end up being pretty bad. What are our better blocks for heroic charge? We probably make sure the Cavalier still dies by putting 3 on it. And then I throw the Chaplain under the bus over here so that I can repossess it. And I've also got a tribute to Urborg if that ends up being good. Okay, they're just gonna let it happen. Then I think I'll just let it happen and I'll just Blight Pile first. Unless they're playing really next level here and they're going to do it in response to Blight Pile. That would be devastating. Okay, citizen's arrest for that berserker. Not bad. But we are repossessing a chaplain this turn. I can citizen's arrest and use blight pile this turn. That is tempting. 3 damage. Citizen's arrest Kavu. No, it's probably better to use citizen's arrest Kavu and then drawbridge the berserker. And they don't have any attacks. Uh-oh. What on earth did you just draw into? Something really bad for us. Flowstone Infusion, okay. They're gonna double removal spell to kill the blight pile? Alright, that's actually not the end of the world. It's not great. It's not the end of the world. I think we're still in the lead here because our hand is so good. Oh, I have to take a damage to shut that off. That's rough. Add our Cur Wastes. Oh yeah, they've got another. Very tempted to block with Chaplain here, but then I really need to draw the green source. I'll go to 7. Okay, no green source. I can Outrider and hold up Tribute. And then we can kill Cavalier. Argivian Phalanx, that is a good one. That will trade into the Outrider. I'm just gonna kill Cavalier here. Well, no blue source. I could Geyser my own Chaplain, or no green source. I could Repossession, cast Chaplain, then I don't have the mana for Drawbridge. I can Geyser Chaplain, cast it, don't have the mana for Drawbridge. Geyser there, Phalanx. How much is it to kick this? 4 mana? I can't kick it and recast Chaplain. I'm going to save this for later. I'm going to Repossession now. It's a bummer not having the green, but I think it's still good here. I hate that it holds up Attercar Wastes. I need to stop letting it auto-tap. Do not let Arena auto-tap in this format at any time. It's pretty much always going to do it poorly. I do not want this untapped. I want to tap it when I need colorless. Baird. That is very good with enlist shenanigans. So we're going to have to kill this Berserker when they attack with it here. Which means we're going to take 5 to the face, or they're going to kill a Chaplain. But I need Baird to not be popping off, so there you go. Kill a Chaplain or do 5 to my face. 5 to my face it is. Unkicked Geyser and cast a Chaplain. Or I could just play a Barricade, get 2 more birds, and I can gain life. Barricade seems good here. I just said I shouldn't be letting it auto-tap, and here I am letting it auto-tap again. I'm going to hold up the mana for sacking birds, because I'm just going to block and chump. Or chump and sack here. They're dead in 2 attacks. Even if I sacrifice 2 birds, or even if I chump block with 2 birds. Okay. Ooh, 1 mana Phalanx of my own. Very nice. but I think I would rather Chaplain again. They Haunted Mire and pass. They have a 5 damage spell to shoot my face with. They're digging for it. Discard a card, draw a card with Goblin Picker. They do not. That is going to be another 2-0 in round 2. Some just devastating, very rude stuff from the Defender's deck against the Boros aggro strategy. Again, pretty great deck for my opponent. Very solid stuff, but Chaplain is too good. Here we are in the final round. We are 2-0, a solid run no matter what. We are competing for the play point now. See if we can get a 3-0 run. We're going to start... Do I want to start with the turn 2 Blight Pile? Really? I might rather just play Barricade on 3 and have access to Tolarian Geyser mana. Play against blue, red, white. We draw into Walking Bulwark. It's actually pretty exciting. I might go Blight Pile Bulwark here. Maybe try to start just slapping my opponent hardcore. These cheap little defenders. Timely Interference. Alright, they're going to cycle, draw some cards. Probably like a blue-red, white spells deck here. A lot of spell payoffs for the color trio. Abolish Sleeper. Don't love that all of my defenders just trade off there. If I play a King Darien, my cards are bigger, but then I need to... Still, I don't have the mana to activate them this turn quite yet. I could play Drawbridge and just start using Blight Pile. That seems fine. That seems reasonable. Soaring Drake. Okay. That is fine. I'll send in for 3, so we'll both take 3 here. Okay, now I have the mana for Darien plus Animate a Wall. Which I think is the play. Oh, Essence Scatter? No, no Essence Scatter. Let's animate Drawbridge. I think that's my least important wall. Currently. Destroy the evil Blight Pile. Okay. So this opponent has Destroy Evils, so we need to keep that in mind with the Citizen's Arrest. Happy to see it used when we have Citizen's Arrest in hand, but they can very well have more than one copy, and we should keep that in mind for future games. They're going to blow up King Darien at instant speed to kill my Bulwark here. That's the game plan. I'll take 5. Do 3 mana for Arrest and 3 mana for Geyser. I mean, I'm not attacking with any walls this turn. I only play 1 spell if I want to attack with a wall. If I want to attack with 2 walls, I can't do anything. Let's try to attack with 1 wall here. Gonna be a shore up or something? Artillery Blast. Rough. Keep that in mind. Not what I was expecting after the way they attacked last turn. They don't seem to have black mana for the Benalish Sleepers, so I think I can just bounce it to Geyser. And that's just going to be value. Could also play a barricade. No, yeah, barricade just blocks it right now. Yeah, we'll just play barricade. 10 to 12, a very close game here. If they kill Bulwark, I don't have threats. Another Destroy Evil. We are definitely sideboarding out. Citizen's Arrest. Academy Wall. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If I had enough mana, I could just kill them here, but I don't. Kind of want to attack with just one of these, and then Geyser Kicked to gain some life to be pretty safe in terms of life total. And then next turn it shouldn't be particularly difficult to find lethal out of nowhere. Oh, especially with Amiria's Outrider. I guess I need to hit another land to cast that and attack. Down to 8. They're still at 7. Play the Sleeper. Pass the turn. We did not hit an untapped land. That is brutal. Can just barely afford to Citizen's Arrest and tap a creature with Drawbridge. Play it slow for now. So we get another turn to try to hit the untapped land. To kill them off Outrider. Five damage on board. I could also slam down Academy Wall, haste attack with it, and play Inscribed Tablet. But that's going to cost me another mana next turn, so it doesn't actually help me hit the next untapped land. I think I like Citizen's Arrest. And Drawbridge. Although, moderately bold, if they have a third Destroy Evil, this is going to be really bad. They don't have a third Destroy Evil, and I get this hidden, then I just kill them with Outrider next turn. So we'll do that. Outrider's lethal. They've got a bunch of mana up, they can have an Essence Scatter. We haven't seen an Essence Scatter all game, but this is definitely the kind of deck that would use it. Wingmantle Chaplain. I kind of like going for Wingmantle Chaplain, because that's the kind of card that is guaranteed to draw the counterspell from them if they have it. If they don't have the counterspell, we're still playing a very impactful play. And then this way, if they do have the counterspell, it's gone, so that Outrider just kills them next turn, pretty much guaranteed. So I'm going to do Chaplain here. Obviously, if they don't have a counterspell, it's the wrong play. But I think doing it, like, probabilistically, this plays really well. Because it's still a great play even if they don't have the counterspell. This can just help make sure Miria's Outrider's coming down on lock next turn. Okay, another Sleeper. Is that... I don't know, the other one's under Citizen's Arrest. So it's another Sleeper. Okay, let's Tablet. Haunted Mire, I guess. I should take the untapped land. Okay, they didn't have the counterspell last turn, so they probably don't have it here, so I just jam this down. Unless they just top deck the counterspell. Alright, that is lethal. There's a mild argument for trying to close that game without the Miria's Outriders so that they don't play around it in the future, but It was going to take a while to do that. I was going to have to drawbridge that down, slap for 3 if I could, and then play like a Phalanx for the turn. I'm still probably winning that game, but it might take like up to 3 turns depending on how good their hand is. So I just want to just make sure, just guarantee that we're just winning there. So they've double Destroy Evil. I don't love Citizen's Arrest here then. It still did help win there, but it is a risk. When we see 2 Destroy Evils, they weren't even halfway through their deck. Those can blow up the Citizen's Arrest. They were only 13 cards deep, I think. I can't see that number underneath Return to Cyber. It looks like maybe 27, maybe it was 23. It's got to be like 23 or 25 or something. But yeah, not even halfway through the deck, that's for sure. They had 2 Destroy Evils. The question is, what is good against them? If arrests or not. They've got Artillery Blast. If we had Shore Up, it'd be good. I don't think we do. Sleeper, Knight, Drake. Another Sleeper. They've got 3 ones. Maybe Captain's Call is good here. Maybe it's better than Citizen's Arrest. It's a hard choice. I mean, we only saw 2 Destroy Evils, and Citizen's Arrest did still help us win, but I'm just going to run a Captain's Call here. If you've ever been blown out by a Destroy Evil against a Citizen's Arrest, you'll know how massively impactful it is. It's like a 3-for-1. It's like, okay, like you attack your opponent with like a 3-3, and then they destroy your Citizen's Arrest to get their 4-4 Vigilance Argivian Phalanx back, and block your 3-3 and kill it without losing your creature on board. It is so massively devastating. It's really hard to overstate how devastating Destroy Evil is against Citizen's Arrest. Now we could like play around it hardcore and still run the Citizen's Arrest, but I don't know, I just don't think it's worth the risk. I don't think I can play around it that well. I'm not that good at this game. Oh my god. Never mind, I'm actually the greatest. Actually just the dream curve every time. Unstoppable, unbeatable. Actually, I need an untapped land to play this Chaplain, but Phalanx next turn is still groovy. This is still a ridiculous curve. The king is back. Oh my god. King Darien plus Wingmantle Chaplain. Go! King Chaplain combo. Academy Wall from our opponent. Actually pretty good here. I don't have the white source to play Phalanx and tap down the Drake, so I think I'm just tapping down the Drake. Weirdly enough, and play the blue source so I can Academy Wall soon. Just make sure I hit for 6, try to win this game real quick. Before Darien dies, and my damage is halved. Turkenrud. Turkenrud. Got an Urborg Repossession now. Don't have the mana to tap a thing down and play the wall. We might be on the Blight Pile lines now. It's 3 damage a turn still, and I've got plenty of blockers. We'll move over to Blight Pile lines. We can still win the long game, especially with Repossession in hand. So we'll play for the long game. Oh yeah, they have many flyers. We are not winning in the sky right now. Let's win with a Blight Pile. To get past the cluttered up board state. Keep draining our opponent for life. Could have attacked with Phalanx there, that probably wouldn't have been bad. I guess they double block with Tura and Soaring Drake. It's not excellent for us, but our board state is so much wider than theirs that it's actually probably good. Especially with Repossession in hand. Alright, they're at 7. That is absolutely disgusting. That's probably just game. because I'm still holding up Blight Pile mana here, and I get to put a Soul Tender in grave. Yeah, they're just going to scoop them up. Because I was going to tap down 2 flyers. The reason I didn't kick it is so I could Blight Pile still. So I tap down 2 flyers. They have 1 flying blocker I attack with. I'll put them to 1, and then I Blight Pile them. Very small list of cards that would let them survive that. That was disgusting. That was the most insane curve we drew all day in that last game. Drawbridge, Blight Pile, Darien, Chaplain. Deal with that opponent. And they played some really good cards, but just not going to top that kind of absurd curve. And that is going to be the victory there. That's going to be 3-0 in terms of matches and 6-0 in terms of games. I think. Actually, no, I think we lost a game. I might be wrong. Maybe we lost a game in there somewhere. And our random mythic rare just daily reward is an Urabrask. What an excellent draft. Really can't get any better than that. 2,500 gems, 6 packs, and 2 play-in points are going to be the rewards there. We'll do a retrospective on the deck, looking back on it, seeing everything that performed well, everything that underperformed, what I would draft higher, what I would draft lower. Not much to say here. Absolutely everything did its job and did its job really well. I never got to cast Board Tuck, which was a little sad, but Phalanx was actually quite good, again, with all the token production, the potential birds that we could get, and even just a relatively high creature count without them. Bulwark definitely put in a lot of damage there and helped us close out some games, so that card was great. Wheeling the Bulwark was huge in that 3rd pack. That was incredible. Maggoth Sentry maybe should have been cut here, but I don't know if there was anything in our sideboard that would have been great to replace it with, but Sentry didn't really do much of anything. The idea there is that it's a nice big blocker, because you saw multiple of those games, we'd get in positions where we have a bunch of 0-3s and 3-3s on the ground, like Chaplains, Blight Piles, and Drawbridges, where if our opponent starts playing 4-4s like Maggoths and Outriders and Phalanxes, we can get in a pretty sketchy situation there where we don't have great blocks against that. So that was the idea of putting Maggoth Sentry in the deck, having our own 4-4s to oppose opposing ones, and having Miria's Outrider as well for the 4-4s. So it played fine, but it wasn't particularly excellent. Everything else in here, though, was great. Every defender served its purpose. The Soul Tender was pivotal. Being able to recur, again, very good enter the battle for the effects like Chaplain and Miria's Outrider are great, and if a Darien ever died, being able to potentially recur that. Urborg Repossession, for the same reason as Soul Tender, was an excellent one. Tablet didn't really end up doing anything. I guess we got 1 land off of it 1 game. That was pretty solid. But yeah, that was helpful with a mana base like this. I think Tablet was good. Tributes were solid. Shadow Prophecy was solid. Everything was just solid. Everything did about what we thought it would. Great Defenders deck here. Just showing off why Wingmantle Chaplain is the mythic rare uncommon. The kind of bane of the format here. The one big thing that many consider to be a flaw of the format. Myself as well. I don't really love it when there's an uncommon like Zenith Flare or Wingmantle Chaplain that just devastates at the same power level as most rares and mythics in the format. That can be a bit of a bummer, but gotta show off the deck when we open the Wingmantle Chaplains. Kinda gotta go for it. It's an incredibly powerful deck. We went for it, and we did some incredibly powerful things. So that is going to end today's video. Let's claim these prizes and move along. As always, if you enjoyed this draft video and you'd like to see more like it, just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send some more of these videos to you in your recommended feeds. And as always, I'll be back again very soon for some more Magic Arena.